But we're lucky that we got some great reviews. We've really got some fantastic reviews. So that's
And the
awesome.
billboard, New York
The
Times Square.
billboard, whoop whoop, Times Square. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all
Sydney
happening.
Opera House, New York Times Square. What's next?
Yeah, we just stopped dropping and rolling. But if you've seen me this morning in my Nirvana t-shirt racing round Drake's because we ran out of milk, not as glamorous, but never mind.
I love that. But
Rolling with it.
I just, oh God, yeah, makes my heart sing.
So funny. Well, I'm not sure who's coming today, but we'll just start and we'll post it in the group, which would be great. So welcome to our Wednesday, and great to have you here, Donna. Donna's one of our ambassadors, so that's fantastic. And Donna, I will get back to you, but we're building the new platform. So if you email me the stuff, I'll put it on the new platform. There's no point putting it in the old one because we're moving on. So that's perfect. So yeah, so I thought it would be great if we just have a moment to introduce ourselves and who we are, what we do, and then we can have a little chat. And depending on where we go, see how things pan out. So Jennifer, can we start with you?
Oh, start with me. Okay. Yeah, I'm Jennifer, live in the beautiful Sunshine Coast of Australia. I have two gorgeous publishing houses, one specifically for children, the other one for adults. With the children's publishing house, I also do a magazine, which I've just introduced the Backyard Peace Project into. So that will be in showcasing you in every edition from here on in. And what else do I do? Kid Lead International podcast, where I just get together with a group of authors and illustrators, and we just talk about anything a bit like this, whatever comes up in the specific to children's publishing world. Gosh, and ambassador for this beautiful group.
Yeah, and bit more than that. And Jennifer in the background is developing a whole children's curriculum. So we're developing the 12 pillars of leadership curriculum for kids to go in the Kids Zone channel. So there's a lot of work going in there. We're building a team of fantastic teachers who are very passionate about this work. So that's exciting. So we're just sort of starting to get that off the ground. So that's really exciting. And we're also planning to publish a book in the Kids Zone, chapters written by children, because we want to connect them to their voices as early as possible. And so we want them to be able to tell their stories, what we wish the others knew. So all being able to share their hearts with the world, because I think that's really important that they get connected to and amplify their voices as quickly as we can. Because often kids feel powerless. They're by their kids, their parents' rules, by the school rules, by everything. And to be able to develop their stories and their insights, I think will be really, really valuable. So that's next on my list, to go and visit the local schools and make some partnerships to bring that to life. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And Marie.
Hey, I'm a grief advocate and I speak, I coach, and I host retreats. Everything I do is about bringing lightness into grief, about normalizing grief, about unsilencing grief, and having the conversations that are really, really important. You know, we so shy away as a society from talking about grief, death, dying, and it's such a beautiful topic actually when you bring love, joy, connection, happiness, all of that into it, because it's all part of our lives and it's also part of a transitioning story.
And what I love about Marie's work as well is it's not always specific to person dying. It's grief of chapters of our lives, it's grief of experiences, it's grief of relationships. It's, we experience so many different facets of grief. And as Marie said, in Western culture, certainly we do tend to shy away from it. We walk around as if we haven't got an expiration date. We're like, hang on a minute, what's going on? When someone dies, it like hits you like really shock. But obviously we've all got one and we're not sure when it's going to be. And so to be able to talk about it is really important. And of course, everyone's journey is so unique. There's no one size fits all. So I think that's really important as well. Something that you really honor through your work, Marie.
Absolutely. I always say comparison doesn't help us heal. We just need to be there and hold space for each other and witness each other's grief. It's really important. Thank you.
And lovely Donna.
Hello, I am a trauma-informed somatic therapist, a life and grief coach. I work with root cause therapy, with embodiment processing, and I work a lot with grief, trauma, addiction recovery. So I've got many different hats, many different roles. I work with children and adults. I work with empowering women, and I work with helping children guide through grief from their lived experience that we've had. So I'm also a hairstylist as well. So I do.
I couldn't understand that.
Hairstylist.
A hairstylist.
Yeah.
Well, it speaks for itself. Sorry.
This work has taken me in the last 3 years. It's taken me many places. It brought a lot to me as well. So I work both with grief, with trauma, addiction, and also with domestic violence. So my work spans multiple disciplines.
Beautiful. I love that. Amazing. So obviously I'm Cathy. I'm the founder of the Backyard Peace Project. I'm very passionate about the Backyard Peace Project, and together bringing it to life. I feel like the world right now needs real connection, real community, and to be connected to authentic, genuine practitioners and experts who are in integrity and honor and trust. Some of my clients have come through because they've been traumatized by their coach. And you're like, yeah, because some coaches out there, not all, there are some amazing coaches out there for sure, but some just, you can call yourself a coach overnight. You don't need any qualifications. You don't need any experience. I was once in a room with a guy who was studying trauma with me, who was a plumber. And you're like, cool, but you've got no experience. And you could tell the way he was turning up, the way he was talking. No disrespect to him. I think it's amazing if you want to change careers, but you need more than a certification if you're going to work with this kind of level. You need experience. You need to be in the rooms, to be able to talk, all of those sorts of things. Because you need that when someone brings you a massive trauma event. You need to have the experience to go, I've got you. It's okay. We can work through this together. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, I'm not sure what I'm doing because I'm a plumber. So that's really tricky out there. And as well, one of the reasons that I built the Backyard Peace Project with all of these incredible ambassadors is because I look at well-intentioned Facebook groups, which is like watching a car crash in slow motion. Because oftentimes people are super vulnerable at a real crossroads in their lives, wanting some direction, and they're asking advice from peers who are in their own trauma, in their own triggers, in their own experiences, who are giving terrible advice. So it's really important for me that people get connected to good quality sessions, masterclasses, courses, education, so that they could really truly help themselves in this beautiful, safe environment. So I'm very passionate about that. So today I thought we could talk about our emotional connections to things. Because it's super interesting. So I've had 2 experiences in the past week that have highlighted my emotional connections to things. And I thought, this is super interesting. Like, I'm pretty aware and I'm fairly evolved and I'm pretty well educated, but these came as a bit of a new awareness to me. So one of them was, I'd like to break into the next financial bracket. So I'm doing really well. It's all great, but I'd love to just break into that next arena. And I was like, I'm interested to just lean into this with curiosity, because I think sometimes we shy away from things. We don't want to look at it, or we pretend everything's okay, or whatever. I thought, let me just see if there's anything here. And so it's very interesting. I had a session, and what came up, which I was not consciously aware of, was in a time in my childhood when my father was injured. And so he had to have an operation, and he had to have, I think it was 3 months off work. And my mum had to go and get a part-time job because they had savings and they were in credit with the mortgage, but it was still a bit tight. So she had to go and get some part-time work to see us over that period. And so we didn't have an awful lot of money at the time, you know, because we'd had to pull in our belts because of Dad being off and all the rest of it. But what was super interesting to me was that's the most time I ever spent with my dad, because he was home.
God, I'm having goosebumps already. Oh,
so I was like, that's really interesting. So for my childhood self, having less money made us closer as a family and gave us more quality time together. So I was like, that's really interesting, and an insight I hadn't had before, but it really shifted my position, because I'm like, we've got a really close family. Like, we've put the foundations in, like we already do that. So it's great. So we can move to the next financial bracket, know that we've got our pillars in place, like the foundations of our family are good. So that was a really interesting insight. And the other really interesting insight is I'm going on a health journey at the moment, and every week I'm getting interviewed by somebody following me on this health journey. So I kind of got to do it, because every week I've got to go on and talk about it. So I'm like, all right, I'm committed. I'm actually committed anyway, but the interview helps to, you know, focus it. And what came up for me is, because I'm on a very, what you would call a restrictive diet, but it's not. I've actually never felt more nourished. I've never felt better in the fact that I'm actually feeding myself. It's really working. The inflammation's going. I've quit carbs and sugar overnight. You know, it's a massive thing for me. And the health benefits have been great. But what was interesting, what's coming up for me, is Christmas. Because Christmas for me has always been connection through food. And it still can be, but like, we bake and we make things, and there's a feast and there's all of this stuff. And what I think started to bring it to my mind was my son. He's a fantastic cook, actually. He's 12, but he's a fantastic cook. And even the 8-year-old, I'm like, yeah, you go and do it. Like, I'm always been confident with the children in the kitchen. They just go and do their thing, and it's perfectly fine. And he'd made this fantastic, huge banana bread, because you know what it's like, either all the bananas go, or there's 5 left over that are just going brown. I'm like, where's the happy medium here? Like, I'm either running out of them, or they're just like wilting on the side. And so he's fantastic. He goes, oh, Mom, I'll make some banana bread. I say, okay, cool. But of course, I didn't have any, because I'm not doing that. I'm only eating whole foods. I'm really, because I thought I was going to have a heart attack, Donna, a couple of months ago. So I was like, oh, I need to do something. But his little face, when I said, oh no, darling, I'm not going to have any, because, you know, and his little face was so disappointed. And I said, but it looks fantastic, and everybody else is going to taste it, and da 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 da. And I think that's what brought up the emotion of Christmas, because we bake together, we do this together. Christmas, I mean, look at the adverts, right? It's mince pies, it's little treats, it's chocolates, those are the adverts on telly that you all sucked into Christmas, right? And so we actually, my friend is a tapping expert. That's why she does these podcasts. And so we tapped through it. And I thought, how interesting that 2 things in my life, I knew I had an emotional connection to food, in the fact that I was an emotional eater, which is now completely stopped. Now I'm eating a different way. But I didn't realize the emotional touch I had to lack of money, which was, that's the time I got to spend with my dad. Otherwise, he was always at work. So I just thought it would be interesting to sort of lean in and have your take on whether you've had clients that have had emotional attachments they were unaware of, or if you see people in your life who are triggered and you realize what that emotional attachment is. Because I feel like sometimes we're going around on this automatic pilot and not questioning it. And yet these are the things that are often holding us back. Discuss.
I want to jump on that bandwagon straight away with the money, because as you know, Cathy, I've done so much work around my money story. And as every deep, deep, deep work, it comes in layers. So I've noticed I've long come out of survival mode with money. I've long gone to the point where I'm like, I'm good at what I do. Let me rephrase it. I'm outstanding at what I do. I really own that. I know that the work that I deliver changes lives really on such a deep level. And there was this, of course, then charging accordingly, and also like how it is perceived when you charge accordingly. It instantly gets said, this is really elite work that she's doing, and I am. So when I found all these connections, Well, we all know, like most of us who work in a coaching space know about the connection with the subconscious. You know, the subconscious picks up the money story that your parents have, and there is the whole bring epigenetics into it. You know, me coming from a family where my grandparents and great-grandparents were in the war, fighting for their lives, fighting for their families. There was a lot of survival story attached to money and to food. And I knew about that, but knowing about it and changing and breaking that cycle is a very different story. So I worked through that. I worked through the epigenetic side of things, you know, the wonderful book by Mark Wallen, It Didn't Start With You. It's amazing. I can highly, highly recommend it. Going through that, and then there was still a money story left. And I was like, what on earth have I still not picked up? And then my beautiful friend Romana, who you now also know because she's also now becoming a global ambassador for the Backyard Peace Project. She's an outstanding astrologer. And she said to me, hey, I had this epiphany, Marie, like the connection between money and relationships, because it's all Venus. It's all about receiving. It's all the female, the receiving. And I'm like, oh my God. It triggered a whole domino reaction for me in terms of you know, my story with Rob and Rob, I don't know, Donna, you probably don't know this story, I'm not really sure, but Rob, my husband, died very, very suddenly 7.5 years ago. That's what pivoted my coaching journey into coaching people.
Similar to my own.
Yeah. So realizing that, and then, okay, so now I have done so much work on my relationship and potential new relationships, and obviously there is fear involved, and I have done as much work as I can do on my own. The next level of work will come with the new relationship. Without going too much into detail, but it is becoming a topic for me. And so there is this whole, oh my God, it's all happening, and it's connected. It's all connected. The connection, the emotional connection between receiving money, relationship, love, intimacy, all of that. It's so intertwined and connected. And that was a huge epiphany for me. So I'm thinking, here, I've got it. It's all like, you know, I know what I'm doing now. This is amazing. And meanwhile, I have to say, I'm embracing this journey. I'm loving it. The fear and all, bring it on. Like I'm here to work through it all. I'm embracing it. I'm loving this. And then the next level hit me. And that was about the nervous system. If the nervous system hasn't learned that it is safe to not only receive, because that's what most people talk about, the receiving part, right? But to hold money, to actually have it, then you're not ever going to have any, because you always find a way to self-sabotage, to, the unexpected bill, I'm, you know, big expense here, big expense there, and then you make a lot of money and then you lose or spend a lot of money, depending on what you do with it. And that was another epiphany for me. There was this emotional connection of, oh my God, my nervous system has never learned to feel safe with holding money. And then on top of that, my nervous system learned that it is not safe to trust a partner always being there, because all of a sudden my husband just dropped dead without any pre-warning. So, whoa, all right, bring it on. Next level, next level, next level. And I have to say, I'm loving it, because everything that I'm realizing, I then can help my clients on the way as well, which you always do. You know, when you're a coach, you heal, you teach, you heal, you teach. It's just, yeah, wow. Just been a very mind-blowing story for me.
I can completely relate to that as well, especially this year. And we're finding safety within myself, because this is my third year in. We're coming up to the 3rd-year anniversary. So yeah, this year having the identity also of a widow, which would have been my beliefs from my grandparents and my great-grandparents that I didn't realize. And then that relationship to money as well, because I believed a widow should have nothing. She is on her own, nobody helps. She has a cloak with her children under her arm. And yeah, so that was kind of my belief until I stood back and was consciously aware of why I was sabotaging and why these beliefs and patterns and generational things that were put in as well, that to step back and observe a lot as well of what I'm feeling. Why am I sabotaging? Why is this? So taking that step back to kind of look and have that relationship. But as you were speaking there, I did remember a quote that I heard about you're born into relationship, You are wounded in relationship, but you also heal in relationship. So at the minute, I'm healing myself in the relationship with myself, which is then passed on to others. But it's just realizing what emotion that you're in and why you keep sabotaging. Well.
And I thank you so much for sharing this. I really love it because it's a woman who speaks my language. Thank you, Donna. And when I look at you and I mean, look at us. We so look like the typical widows, right? I mean,
yes. That's when I was like, I don't want to be a widow. I need a bit of sparkle. I can't be a widow.
I do want
But
to share
it's that label that we hold. It's the label. And it was this year holding a mirror to myself and recognizing this is a label that I'm holding, and it's an emotion that I am attaching to it.
Allow me my tiny little ad break here. I've actually done a TEDx talk on redefining our image of a widow. Because of that, I'm so passionate about it. We've got so many labels, and I understand that labels are part of language. We need them to know what we are talking about, but it's also like redefining and questioning those labels, if they're still accurate or not. And when you look at it, once you start doing the work, and Donna, you would be so in the same boat like me, you realize that you're not alone in this.
No.
That there's so many young widows that don't fit that label, that don't want to have, that's the end of your road. No, it's not.
We don't want to sit for 10 years and taking medication and sitting in a corner. That was my main target. I have a child, so I didn't want her to see this was the way I dealt with it. She needed.
I have to connect. I know that.
We definitely do.
Otherwise, we're taking over that podcast here. Sorry. The chat, whatever we want to call it now. But yeah, I really want to connect with you, Donna.
Definitely reach out to me.
Conversations.
I think you both bring up a great point about labels.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a label, it's not just a word, it's all of the social constructs and the boundaries and the expectations. Stigma. I mean, we, especially as women, well, no, and in fairness, men as well, we've known quite a few men who have been locked in that breadwinner sort of role and felt completely trapped, and that was their only purpose, and really unhappy and locked into a job they've hated because of all these, expectations and responsibilities that they've got. So I think it's very relevant to all of us, and breaking free from labels it takes intention, it takes work, it takes focus and perseverance.
Showing up.
Very generational, isn't it? It's breaking that generational curse, as we call it, and moving on from it, accepting that that's how it was, but it's not okay today. It's a very different world, and the world is changing rapidly, and those labels, if you like, have to change with it. And it's accepting what was and accepting yourself where you are in it. I just love what everyone is saying. I've written a few things down from your Cathy, emotional eating with the sugar. Yep, that's me. When I get a bit stressed, I do that. I know I do that. My daughter does the same thing.
Can I just, about the sugar and that, can I just chime in there? I personally don't, I'm the opposite, so I struggle to put on weight. But we're working with clients and that, I would always tell people, still be kind to yourself. Don't keep from yourself, and don't stop yourself. Still allow yourself a little bit. If you feel you want it, allow a bite.
That's being kind to yourself.
Yeah, having compassion.
In doing that.
Yeah. And don't stop yourself. Just be like, okay, do I really want it? And kind of taking that time to come into yourself and feeling, but still not taken from yourself.
Yeah, it's the first time ever, and I've spoken about it quite openly on the other podcast, but it's the first time ever I haven't wanted it. That's the shift in me. I don't want it. And that's fantastic. It's so freeing, because for the majority of my life, I have been ruled by that noise in my head of, there's dessert there, I shouldn't have it, but I really want it because it's going to taste good. And I go through this whole thing and then I end up having it. And then but actually now I just don't want it, which is revolutionary for me. So I don't want carbs. I don't want sugar. I don't want any of that. I will indulge in cream now and again, which is not strictly an indulgent. You can have that with the eating. My biggest indulgence is alcohol. So like when Ian's home, I will have a glass of wine or whatever, and I'll enjoy it. I don't feel guilt because I'm like, this is my life. This is my pleasure. I'm just going to have something. I'm not going to worry about it. It'll all fix itself, afterwards. But I think for me, my body was in such crisis that I went cold turkey overnight. But I can't believe now I eat to feed myself. That's what I do now. I don't eat
such a good point, though, because I know, Jennifer, we've all cut you off now in your flow, but I just want to quickly put on that bandwagon again, because what you just said, Donna, the whole, just be kind to yourself, just have a little bit. For me, there's something that also shifted because I've been on that same journey or a similar journey for different reasons, probably, like you, Cathy, the relationship with food. And then what shifted for me was that is having that little bit of chocolate actually being kind to myself? And I realized it's actually not. For me, being kind to me, kind to my body, kindness is not feeding it with sugar. Kindness is treating it with respect and with nurturing food and with treating my body and worshiping it as the beautiful vessel that I have to live this human experience. And I have not taken care of it well enough. And now this shifted for me where I'm like, this is not kindness for me, having that little bit of chocolate. Being kind is actually eating something. What can I cook that's really nurturing? What can I make for myself that's not full of processed stuff and all of that? So that has shifted for me. It's not that I allow myself a little bit of alcohol or a little bit of, and that's absolutely fine.
Conscious, isn't it? Knowing what to
have it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being conscious of what I'm feeding my body.
And you're not stopping yourself now saying it's not bad for me. It's if I have it, I'm doing wrong, or if I have it, I'll feel bad after it. You've not got that connection with that emotion. You now know I don't want it because my body needs more nurturing. It's not I'm stopping myself.
Choice, what am I actually feeding my body, and am I okay with that? And there's a choice every single time.
But it's interesting because, like, for me as well, it's the focus, isn't it? It's what is your focus?
Yeah.
Because before it was, you go on a diet, you focus on everything you can't have.
Yeah.
Right. But if you say I'm going to nourish myself, then you're focusing on the things that are going to nourish you. And what's interesting is the cleaner it's got for me, and I'm tweaking. So at first it was very, very bland, not bland because I enjoy the food, but just like super, super strict. And I've danced with it, and I've, there's in this particular eating thing, there's very, very strict, or there's more lenient, but it's all okay. It's all okay under the umbrella, depending on where you are in your journey, which is fine. But one thing, because I've lost a lot of my inflammation, my health things are recalibrating. And so now when I'm thinking, well, I don't think of having it actually, which is revolutionary, but the thought in my head would be, why would I want to damage my body in this way? Because I know that, and it's interesting because my husband's been doing this as well, and he's lost heaps and heaps of volume. We don't say weight anymore, we say volume. We don't know what our ideal weight is because we don't weigh ourselves. We've got an idea of what we want to look like, but because we're eating differently, we're going to have more muscle, and so it doesn't weigh the same, and so we don't do weight anymore. But he's lost significant, like a lot of people have noticed, which is really annoying about men. They sort of say, oh, you've lost weight. I'm like, hello, I'm stood right next to them. But anyway,
and over there.
Yeah, completely. But he, on the weekend, we had all of the family here. So that's 9 people. It's food. So we're just constantly cooking and clearing up from eating. And he had a spoonful or 2 of crumble, which I didn't because I didn't want any, but he did. And he had terrible heartburn afterwards. And I said, the interesting thing is, the way that we were living previously, you probably wouldn't have noticed that because you were so used to feeling that. But the cleaner you eat, the more you get in tune with your body, the signals, everything like that. And so, like, for me, I do have, like, I had some 95% cocoa chocolate the other day, and it was lovely. And I just had a couple of squares and I was done. But, not the that unconsciously, just wrapper, and then you won't wake up to like 27 wrappers. You're like, oh my God, how did that happen? Because you're distracted watching television or whatever. But now I genuinely think, why would I want to damage my body? Why would I want to sabotage my health in that way? And so my whole thing has shifted, but I'm no longer ruled by food at all. Like, it's bizarre, because I was 100% addicted to carbs, and I was 100% addicted to sugar. And now I don't even think about it.
Beautiful.
Your emotional connection to it has changed as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't rule me.
Yeah.
I love your cup.
Thank you. My daughter got me that.
Very nice. My mom
Jennifer.
gave me that. Look at this.
Brave women run in my family. Very good.
Sorry, we so cut you off, didn't we?
Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, I'm loving this conversation, and I can identify with so much from, the emotional food eating, binging, whatever you want to call it, through to having that mind shift. I had a health crisis a few years ago that really pulled me up. And I've changed what I've done so much. And like you guys, I have a little bit here and there, but I know when to stop. And it's okay. And it's being kind to yourself and going, yep, I've had that now. I don't need any more. And, not restricting myself from things, but just knowing what's right and good for my body. And I can identify with the money issues, that generational money issues of not, having enough to get through with my mum and dad, but there was never anything extra, so to speak. And I think that's ingrained in us, in me, growing up, that you've got to work hard, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, and money doesn't come easy. It's hard. But changing that mind shift, and like you, Marie, once I shifted and really thought seriously, particularly this last year, about what it is that I want to do, and you change that mind shift, and yeah, I'm good at what I do. I'm great at what I do. And I'm worthy of what I ask for. Everything changes. It's gone from being really hard to getting easy.
Yeah.
And it's learning to, those things don't control us anymore. I think that's kind of what it comes back to. We don't let the emotional eating control us. We don't let past generational money issues control us anymore. And it's okay to be us and say we're worthy and we've got this. And yeah, there still might be a bit of fear and occasionally a bit of self-sabotage, but having the awareness that we are doing that, I think awareness is a huge thing. And really pulling myself up and going, why am I doing this? And thinking it through, Yeah, so yeah, I've loved this conversation. I can just identify with so much of it. Yeah.
It's for me, like when you just said that, Jennifer, I just, what I shared at the beginning with those the journey through subconscious, and then the epigenetics, and then the nervous system. The common element of all of that was safety in my life. And I think it is for a lot of people. But for me, with trauma in childhood, with the war story of my grandparents, that is a really intense, big topic for me, the feeling safe. And also when I talked to Rob, this is hugely personal, but I feel so safe here sharing that, coming to the topic. There were times in my life where I was so deep in trauma that I actually said to Rob, and I've never shared this publicly, if you want to leave me, I totally get it. And I really meant it from the bottom of my heart. And that came from love, from a space of love, not from not wanting to be with him. And I said that to him, if you want to go, like, I completely release you. I really understand if you do. And he looked at me and said, I'd never leave you, Marie. And then he died. So what did my nervous system learn from that? A man that I trusted with my entire life, with all my heart, that I loved, from the depth of my heart, who promised he'd never leave me, and then he died. Like consciously, I understand it's not like, you know, oh, let's not be with Marie anymore. I'm just going to die now. That was not the decision, you know. I now know we had a soul contract. I shared that very story in the anthology of the Backyard Peace Project when I realized our soul contract there, you know, my spiritual epiphany, I call it. But what my nervous system picked up is you can't trust anyone to ever always be here for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like from a childhood perspective. You know, it was not a matured, grown-up woman knowing that that was not what happened here. It was, oh, you promised you're going to be here forever, and now you left me. You know, that was the sort of emotional response that I felt. I didn't think that through, but that drove me for quite some time, and that needed healing. That needed the awareness, like you said, Jennifer. Everything starts with awareness. You know, we can't heal what we're not aware of. And oh my God, I healed all of that with so much love. I held myself through the journey, and where I couldn't hold myself, I asked the right people. Cathy was one of them to hold space for me in that journey. And I walked it so deliberately, and I loved it. I really loved it. It was intense, but I loved how I walked through the journey and how I've come out of it. And there's definitely still more layers to be done when I'm in a new relationship. I know that there will be layers coming back that you can only heal in a new relationship, and I'm here for it. Freaking scared and super excited, but I'm here for it. You know, that's just, yeah.
Yeah. Awareness is a huge thing. It's for me, I guess in some ways it's the foundation of beginning to understand. Like you with your sugar, Cathy, and you know, you, Marie, and Donna, with understanding where you are in your grief. It is that beginning of healing, understanding where you are emotionally.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We do the best we can until we know better. Once we know better, we do better. So it is bringing that awareness and that leveling up at each stage of life then as well. So yeah, we do the best we can till we know better. And then once we know better, we do better and implement it, then bring awareness to it.
I think we do sometimes go around unconsciously doing it, because another thing that I've discovered this week, it's been a big week of discoveries. Like I've had a massive head cold, so I've been like, I'm just gonna sit here and think. And again, I was in training last night, and we were talking about it, and I'm doing this new modality because I'm studying as well, because you know, why not just bring it on.
Too much time.
And yeah, and then we were talking about habits, routines and habits that are no longer supporting us, and they said, you know, what would you like to work on? And I said, my bedtime routine.
Most important.
Because, and it was interesting again, going back to childhood, because I likened it to when I was living with my parents and I was a kid, and I'd have my lamp on and I'd be reading, and I wasn't supposed to read, right? And then you'd hear them coming up the stairs and you'd click. And then you'd hear them go to bed and you'd quietly click the light back on and you'd read another chapter. And it's a bit like that, but now I'm hiding from my kids. So you think you're freedom, right? When you leave home, you're like, I'm free. No, because then you're just locked into servitude with your children. And what I've been doing is like, that's the only time I'm on my own, like not in meetings, not in doing anything, not serving anybody, not drumming. Yesterday, I was taking up the whole day with appointment for my child who was north of the city. So all day there, you know, I had a meeting, then we left, then we had to stop for lunch on the way home because we were both starving. Then we were home, then it was pick up Taya, then I was back into a meeting again. So it was like a massive day. And then so when I'm really tired in the evenings, I could go to bed at 8 o'clock because I get up early. Like I get up really, really early and I'm hustling right, you know, from the beginning, which I mean, it's a good life, don't get me wrong, I'm not moaning, but it's a lot, it's constant, you know, action and whatever. And I scroll. Watching silly, funny cat videos and things. I'm cracking up laughing, and I watch silly things and I love it. But then you look and it's 11 o'clock and then you're getting up early again. But that, and what I was trying to think, why am I doing this? And I'm doing it because when I'm in bed is the only time I'm generally left alone. Sometimes you get a kid in the middle of the night hovering over you going, Mum, I feel sick. And you're like, don't hover over me, go into the bathroom. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's always something going on, or something's happening with the cats, or you have to get up, or the dog's something. And so there's this constant on duty all the time. And, you know, the reason that I do this, as I'm doing it, I think I shouldn't be doing this. Like, I should be going to bed. Like, I should go to sleep. Like, I've got a big day tomorrow. But it's that buying of time. And it was that, and I pinpointed it as the child in me being rebellious.
Yeah.
And going, I'm going to choose this time for me, and I'm going to do what I want to do in this time. You know, I'm going to read my chapter of my book, but I'm going to turn the light off if Dad walks past the room. You know, all of that thing. But you know, I've even done that. Like, my kids have opened the door, and I've gone, and I think, you know, they'll speak if it's really urgent, and it's not urgent, but they'll ask me something ridiculous, and I'm like, leave me alone. I mean, I'm off duty. Didn't you see the sign? I've clocked out. But, you know, you can't clock out. And so it's interesting how we can bring that into our awareness, because it's often what's holding us back from our next level, right? Because, you know, you're tired, you're not at your best, and it's this whole cycle, and you need to disrupt that cycle. You need to be consciously aware of it and do something to disrupt it. And I remember when Taya was born nearly 9 years ago, she was premature. I had a terrible birth with Taya. I barely survived, and I had a really bad recovery, long and painful. And during that time, I had taken on doing 3 diplomas during the pregnancy. And then they said, oh, it could be evergreen. But then they said, no, if you don't finish it in the next 6 weeks, you have to pay again.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm not paying again. So I did 3 diplomas in 6 weeks. I mean, I had started them, but I hadn't finished them. So I bloody did it, because I'm like, I'm not paying again. You're not getting any more money out of me. But what I would do is, getting out of bed was really hard for me, because I was tired, and I had a newborn, and she was prem, and it was all happening. And so what I used to do is put my alarm, my phone, in the kitchen, and it would come on at 5 a.m. You bet your bottom dollar I sprinted to that kitchen, because I didn't want the kids getting up at 5. So that was me disrupting the cycle of pressing snooze. It got me out of bed. Once I was out of bed, I was up. It was getting out of bed was my block. And so I set up a system that would get me out of bed, and then I was up, put the kettle on, and I studied for 3 hours, and then I see to the kids and whatever. And that's how I did the work. But it's about being aware enough, as you said, Jennifer, to be able to disrupt those systems that aren't working for you anymore.
That's you know, when you said what you felt about the being up and the rebellious child, I don't have the rebellious child factor in there, but I have the exact same pattern, because nighttime is the only time where it's absolute guaranteed silence. And I realized how much I was craving this silence, because my brain was going a million miles an hour. There was the grief to deal with, there was the business to deal with, there was the parenting to deal with, there was the what's going on in the next day. Shut up, you know, like I'm pretty sure, like, I've shared that moment before, but I had this primal screaming, falling apart moment in the same week of Rob's funeral. You know, we had the funeral on Wednesday, and Sunday we had Jed's first Holy Communion. And when all of that was over, my tick list was done, and I fell apart. And it was literally the sentence that made me come undone was, I just need peace and quiet. It burst out of me, and then I couldn't stop screaming it. And I fell into this pile of primal screaming, whacking kitchen cupboards. And I'll never forget that moment. It was the worst moment for me in terms of not feeling in control ever in my entire life. And I never wanted to go back to it. I also know that it was the birthing point of everything that was to come. But that moment made me realize what my absolute most important and basic needs are, and that is peace and quiet. And I seem to find that in the middle of the night. So I'm still battling with this, I want to call it an addiction, this addiction to peace and quiet when I'm in the middle of the night. And it's really, I've never called it an addiction, but it feels so true when it just came out of me. So I'm just going to call it, you know, the being up at nighttime. And yeah, it was really unhealthy patterns of like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, Marie, it's 3 o'clock. The alarm goes off at 4. What are you at 7 in 4 hours? Like, what are you doing? You know, and I have brought it back to before midnight. So it's way healthier than it used to be. But I would still not call it a really healthy bedtime routine that I have. I can still relate to what you're saying, you know, the scrolling and but I have added one thing in that makes me feel better, and that is my gratitude journal. And I've been doing it for years now, every single night without a fail. And if it's only one line, but I write down what was the best thing of my day. And often it turns into 1 or 2 pages as well. But it's a one thing I finish my day with, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
I do that. And I think by stopping is, for me, not starting. So, you know, last night I went to bed and I actually didn't feel too good last night. I've had this blooming virus and it's really been, hasn't knocked me out, but it's just lingered. Do you know what I mean? I'm like feeling at 80%. And last night I took a handful of pills, which were all fine. They were all in combination with each other. And one of them was a sleeping pill that my son gave me. And I was like, I'm going to sleep all night tonight and I really need to sleep. And so I did my gratitude diary and I didn't even open the phone. And I think just stopping by not starting. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even going to open it. I'm just going to put my audiobook on. I'm going to go to sleep, which I did. And then I slept all night. I woke up this morning. It was great. I needed to do that again all day, I think, and maybe one more night, and then I'll be back on my sleep. But you know, it's being able to think, okay, what is the bigger vision here? What is the bigger picture? Because why am I hiding in the weeds and the minutiae when I want to do this? Like, is this worth? And yesterday I was like, I need to, and it wasn't I need to give up. It was I need to release this. I need to release this, and I need to release this to get to this level, because that's where I'm going now. I've released a lot already, and now it's the next phase of releasing old patterns, things that would support my old life that aren't going to be supportive of the new life, right? And so it's these chapters, it's these evolutions, but you have to release stuff in order to embrace stuff. You can't just drag everything along with you. And so I do feel like it's and this is probably why I've had the head cold, right? Shifting things through, cleansing, all of those sorts of things to really have that awareness and the
understanding your
intention.
values as well, isn't it? It's understanding what values you want to bring to your day, and is what you are doing aligning with your highest values, or are you self-sabotaging by lying there at night and scrolling and having them routines and rituals? If like it's a habit, it's a ritual, it's stacking those little things before you go to bed and cleansing your space and making sure that you've not got any technology. And does your routines align with your values?
And your goals?
You
know, like, what do you want to achieve?
And it is bringing awareness to your whole life of, if I want to get to these goals, is doing these patterns going to get me there? And it's really, that's what I've done lately. I've kind of peeled everything back to understand where I want to be, who I want to be, and what you need to do to get there. The old patterns aren't going to get you to the new you.
Exactly. And you say, what does my future self want me to do here?
Yeah. Does she behave like this? Does she lie in bed at night scrolling through her phone? No, because she's up in the morning and she's alert and she's awake. So she puts the phone down and does her rituals and heads to bed.
Exactly.
I was like that. I would never sleep before. I used to be out vacuuming the grass at 5 a.m. in the morning, not sleeping, avoiding going to bed. But now I have, a much healthier bedtime routine. I go to bed at 9:30, which I never did in my life. And I'm asleep by the time my head hits the pillow. But it's bringing that awareness and taking from what I did, like the patterns of the evening routine. What was I avoiding?
Yep, there she's gone.
That was an interesting word to finish on. What am I avoiding?
What am I avoiding? Gone. What are you avoiding? Where are you? That's funny. I had this vision of a hot air balloon when you were talking, Cathy. Like, you know, the higher we want to rise, the more we need to let go of that was holding us back.
Yeah, such a good analogy. And it's so true. And I think as well, when we step into our next chapter, it's okay to mourn what you're going to release, because you have to release people, situations, attitudes, habits. You know, I mean, it's like, for me, I've entered this whole new world of being with my nutrition, I release eating the cakes. I release all of the things that I would do with my kids before. And it's an emotional releasing, because that's how we've always known how to get. Well, look, we connect through games. We're a board game family. We spend loads of time together. We walk together. We do so it's not a problem. But it was just that piece that I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. That's what it, the symbolism of it, you know. And so stepping into the new way of being, you know, my new chapter includes a lot more traveling. And that's great and exciting, but it's also change, and it's more time away from the family, and it's all those sorts of things, and how they're going to adjust and how we adjust together. And so it's okay to have both the duality of growing, right? The duality of going, this is my new chapter, I'm stepping into it. But also there's some sadness about letting some of this go, because it was never terrible, but it's just not supportive of my new way of being.
Yeah.
So we're on the hour. I would love just for you to give your final thoughts on how we need to show up in our lives to ensure that we are able to take our next steps.
Well, I just personally think just continuously being, like for me, being aware of what I do every day. And is that habit a good one, or is it not so good one? And what do I do about it? And just constantly letting go to grow. And letting go can be anything. It can be something little, it can be something huge. But having that awareness and constantly having that awareness as we level up, it's just everything's evolving and changing, and going with it, and not letting fear and self-sabotaging get in the way, because I think as women we are really good at doing that. We're excellent at self-sabotaging, stopping ourselves. But once again, having that awareness creates the growth. Yeah.
I love that. For me, it is, you know, I was really, with the work that I do, with what I do in terms of speaking, etc., I'm so used to being vulnerable in front of a crowd and sharing things in front of an audience. But the things I share today, you know, there's things I've never shared with anybody publicly. And that to me is just such a sign how important it is to find our circles where we feel safe. And I certainly feel safe here, you know, because safety is my topic, and just continuously putting my awareness to that, putting my focus on finding spaces, finding people, finding circles where I feel safe. Because with that, we sit in circle, you know, when we share from a vulnerable space, we automatically give others permission to do the same. And that is just something that I'm really striving for continuously. So thank you for holding that space for me today. I really appreciate that.
And thank you for your vulnerability and authenticity, because I feel the world desperately needs that right now. You know, they really want real connection and real stories, and that's why I'm so proud of the anthology, because it is so beautiful, it is so heart-led, and it is vulnerable. Like, it is a very vulnerable sharing, and that people need that right now. They need that to be able to have the permission to tell their own stories in a similar way. So thanks so much, guys, for coming on, and thanks everybody here for watching. And remember to watch this space, because we've got some big announcements coming out for the Backyard Peace Project very soon. It's very exciting, so make sure you keep on top of everything and keep connected to what we're doing, because we'd really love you to be a part of it. So watch the Facebook group, because there'll be some announcements soon. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Bye.